Good afternoon, folks. This is Robert Chappell, Executive Editor of Madison 365, the daily update for Tuesday, December 1st. Yes, it is December. This is what I've been saying all day. It's December? It's December. And we have been doing this daily update almost every day. We have a few days off. We've been doing this since April. I'm kind of in the mode of preparing kind of an annual report. End of the year we do that typically, and so I just was looking back at everything we've done this year, which has been wild and remarkable, and just going back to I found the very first daily update I did. And it was right as the governor was issuing the safer at home order, so it's kind of to try to explain that. And and I said something in that thing. It was must have been late March, not April. Must have been late March. But I said that we have a total 400 and something cases, and at first I was like that doesn't seem right. I don't think it was that high. But what I was talking about was not daily cases. It wasn't 400 cases in a day. It was 400 cases altogether. Like each day, the whole state was reporting 3 or 4 new cases. And now we are at the point where within, I suspect it's very possible that within the next 2 days, we will surpass 400,000 cases. We are today at 391,000. And it has been, and of course in the middle of all that, we had the whole Black Lives Matter resurgence in the summer. And we as a organization that covers people of color, communities of color across Wisconsin, we were at the forefront of that also. And we convened a bunch of online forums, summits on racial justice, on youth leadership. We had a Wisconsin Leadership Summit for the whole week in October. And I mention all this to tell you that, when the economy just came to a grinding halt last spring, a lot of news organizations had a very hard time. A lot of businesses had a hard time. And a lot of news organizations started to cut back and lay people off. And we didn't. And we actually pushed forward. We grew. We started this daily update. We started 3 podcasts to address some of these issues. We've expanded our coverage. We're doing about twice as many news stories every month than we used to do. And we did that with the help of some grants, some like emergency journalism grants, but we also did that with the help of our community. We got more donations this year than we've ever gotten in any year ever, without even asking for them, really. But today is a special day. It is Giving News Day. Giving Tuesday, there's Black Friday, Local Saturday, Cyber Monday, Giving Tuesday, and Giving News Day is today. And that is the day when you can show your support for local community nonprofit news, and throw us $10, $20, $50, I don't know, and it is matched. Every dollar you give us, the Knight Foundation, Democracy Fund, Miami Foundation, Institute for Nonprofit News have all created this pot of money. That anything you give us, for basically now to the end of the year, but today's a special, a drive day, basically. Anything you give us, they double it, and it's very simple. There's no strings attached to it. We send them the number of donations we got. We send them a spreadsheet that like has here's how many donations we got, and they cut us a check for that amount. It's really that simple. So any help you can give us is more than appreciated. We are ethically opposed, kind of, to charging for news. Like other news organizations have to do that. They have to do the paywalls and everything like that. Whatever, it's fine. We don't want to do that. We think the information we have is valuable to you. It's valuable to the community. It helps your family make decisions. It helps you figure out, helps you know about the new businesses in town, everything like that. And we never want to charge for that. So, but in order to make that happen, we need some of you to chip in a little bit. Rather than charge all of you $5 a month or something, if a few of you can chip in $10 a month, that helps a lot. And if you chip in $10 a month right now, Newsmatch will match $60. It'll match the whole year's commitment. So that's kind of a cool thing. Anyway, enough begging, enough fundraising. I'm going to get right into the numbers here. We do have a record set today, which is not a surprise. It's bad. It's very bad to report 107 deaths today. 42 counties reported at least one fatality today. The most was Milwaukee County with 10. That's very bad, obviously. We don't like that at all. But, again, this is not unexpected, and it shouldn't freak you out too much, okay? Because we knew this was coming because it was a holiday weekend, and for deaths to make it into the state data, there's a whole bunch of steps that have to happen. And it's kind of different in each county. Each county medical examiner, every hospital reports their deaths differently. Some of the deaths didn't happen in the hospital, so they have to go through a whole different process. And it takes deaths up to a week to make it into the data. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, normally, a lot of these offices are closed or not staffed. So the last 3 weekends, we've seen Sunday and Monday will have 10 deaths or fewer. And then there's a big jump on Tuesday or Wednesday. So when we saw over the weekend, this past weekend, we saw 60-something each day, Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday. And then yesterday we saw 6. So you knew there was going to have to be a makeup. You knew that those deaths were happening and were in process. So today, what I'm trying to tell you is, don't get too upset about 107 deaths today. It is terrible. It's 107 lives lost. But the fact that they're all being reported today doesn't mean today is any worse than yesterday in reality. It's just reporting right now. Okay. Now, one number that I am a little bit more concerned about is the positive test rate, which is now 30.1% for people. 30.1% of the people who have been tested in the past 7 days have tested positive. When you look at all the tests, which accounts for the fact that some people get tested multiple times, 13% of all tests came back positive. Those are both very bad numbers, and they're higher than they were. Those numbers were going down every day for 2 weeks. We were it felt like we had almost turned a corner. And now they went up a little bit, stayed steady for a day, and now they went up again. And that's a big jump. From 27.8 to 30.1, that's a big jump. That's a big jump. I don't like that at all. In terms of the number of cases today, 4,078 new cases today, which is kind of a lot, not as many as we've seen. Last week we were in the 6,000s. But it was only 10,500 tests. So that means that just the positive test rate just for today is 39%. That's way too high. And that makes our positive rate jump from 27.8 all the way to 30.1. We have 391,426 new cases, total cases. So we're under 10,000 away from 400,000, which we will almost certainly make up in the next 2 days. Now, so I would anticipate by Thursday we will pass 400,000 total cases. Active cases, however, remained at 69,000, which is the same as yesterday. So about 17.5% of those 391,000 cases are currently active, which that's good. We like to see that. We don't like to see that number. We like to see that it's staying the same, that it is not going up. When we talk about the excuse me, the location of these fatalities, let's just talk through this real quick. Again, these are not fatalities that happened today or yesterday, but that are being reported today. Milwaukee County leads the way with 10. Winnebago had 9. That's Oshkosh. Kenosha County had 8. Sheboygan County reported 7. Waukesha County reported 6. Racine, Rock, and Walworth County all reported 5. Douglas and Outagamie County each reported 4. Brown, Clark, Dodge, and Langlade County all reported 3. Grant County reported 2. Trempealeau, Washburn, Washington also reported 2. And then everybody else reported 1. Here we go. Bayfield, Burnett, Calumet, Chippewa, Crawford, Dane, Dunn, Eau Claire, Florence, Kewanee, La Crosse, Lafayette, Lincoln, Marathon, Monroe, Oconto, Pierce, Portage, Richland, Shawano, St. Croix, Vernon, Wapaka, and Wood all reported at least 1 death today. Again, a lot of those, especially the single fatalities being reported from the smaller counties, I'm sure those happened sometime over the past week and are just not being entered into the data. Now, of those 107, 98 are age 60 or older. There was one person who passed away in their 40s, and another 8 in their 50s, and then 12 in their 60s, 24 in their 70s, 34 in their 80s, and 28 people over the age of 90. Seven-day death rate now is still 43.6, which I expect to go up again. I expect I don't anticipate 107 again tomorrow. I would anticipate something like between 60 and 80 tomorrow. I think that's going to kind of be the typical number now for a little while. Now that the holiday's done, I have a few weeks before the next holiday. I would anticipate the daily death rate to rise pretty quickly. Unfortunately, I hope it doesn't. If it stays around 40, that'd be great. But I don't think it's going to. Hospitalizations have fallen again, which is good. Currently, there are 1,827 people hospitalized. That's 18 fewer than yesterday. So that's been a steady decline. In a couple of days, it's gone up slightly, but it's been more or less on a downward trend for the past over 2 weeks now. But, caveat there, the number of people in ICU actually increased by 20. So that's a big jump for ICUs. It went from 395 up to 415. Don't love that. But overall, hospital population is down. So that's pretty good news. That's pretty much what I have for COVID numbers. If you have any questions about those numbers, drop them in the comments. Anytime. I do want to give you just a little update on a story I brought you yesterday. That a Madison East High School junior passed away from COVID over the holiday weekend. That fatality is not yet reflected in the data. He did not die in a hospital. We actually got his father gave one interview in Spanish to an organization called Me Wisconsin. It's a news organization, it's a Spanish language news organization here in Wisconsin. And did not want to give any more interviews, understandably. So we did get permission to translate that interview and quote from it, and we did that. And it seems like the young man, Isaiah Maracho, didn't have the symptoms that you'd normally expect. There's no fever, no respiratory problems, no heart problems, no issues breathing. It was all digestive. It was all like vomiting and diarrhea kind of thing. And he got tested negative for COVID and went in again and didn't test him because they thought he was negative. He wasn't having those symptoms. And then he went home and collapsed and passed away. And it's terribly difficult to talk about. But he's the first person under the age of 20 in Wisconsin to pass away. But his parents urged the school district to make it clear that he died of COVID. So that just as a message to his classmates and peers and families that this is a real thing and that it can affect young people. And it's a difficult thing to report, obviously, even without having spoken to them. Like, you can just tell the anguish that they're in. A couple other items that I'll mention. Political news local to Madison. The school board president, Gloria Reyes, is not running for re-election. We just found that out. Like, just as I was coming on here, we got the note. Dave Dahmer has posted that story on Madison365.org. And then this morning's feature also is a very good, very fun story. A young lady named Demi Wright was faced with sudden and spontaneous hearing loss, just like a lot of ear infections, and lost her hearing, and it's hard to say why. But she has turned that into a positive by writing a book called Can You Hear Me Now? And it is meant for other kids who are experiencing something similar. But I think it's also instructive for other kids who are just facing any obstacles, any adversities. So she's this little kid, and she's 9, and she's taking that difficult experience and turning it into a positive for other kids. So that's a really fun story. That is there still on the front page at Madison365.org. And if you're a soccer fan, Forward Madison has a new manager. His name's Carl Craig. He's from Newcastle in England. He has lived in Minnesota since 1994. He's been coaching youth there. He coached Minnesota United, which is now an MLS club, but Minnesota United was in the North American Soccer League, NASL, as a previous and older lower-level pro league. He actually won that league championship in 2015-16, right before Minnesota United made the leap to MLS. He was also in, this is the fun part, he's at one point started a vegan restaurant in England, and he's in a bunch of punk rock bands as a kid. I got to talk to him. I said, I hear you used to be a punk. And he said, what do you mean used to? So he's in his 50s now, but he's still a punk at heart, and which I think fits in with Madison pretty well. He talked a lot about the community and the fact that we're going to play good soccer, but we're going to really be part of the community and give the community something to be proud of. So that should be fun to see. He seems like a really fun guy, and it should be a fun season next year. That is what I have for you today, I believe. Once again, it is Giving News Day. Madison365.org/donate. Every dollar you give us is matched. You give us 10, we get 20. And we can't do it without you. Really, we can't. We need to continue to provide this news on a daily basis. We need to continue to grow, to provide this news for communities of color all across Wisconsin. And every dollar you donate really, really helps. So appreciate your attention, appreciate your assistance and your support. And we will see you again tomorrow.
This is 365 Media.